This is an upgrade I've wanted to do in my truck for a long time, and I finally bit the bullet and decided to buy a new radio for my truck. Having a bumper pull and a gooseneck, I thought if I'm going to get a rear camera, I need to do something so I can use both of them. I thought I would need 2 inputs into the radio, but it turns out you really don't. It just requires that you install a switch, which is where this little piece comes in. Mine doesn't have the switch there, but you'll see what I did. Alright, this is my Boss Audio Elite, and sorry for the noise of the engine running, but I figured I'd put this into place so that you could see it actually working. If you put it into reverse, you can see the camera or the automatic system switches over, and there's our bumper pull, right? Well, we come down here to this switch and toggle it up, and we've got the bed camera. So easy to install. Now, somewhere along the way, I'm probably going to tell you about this radio and why I chose it, but this is not a commercial. It is not an endorsement for any particular company. I'm just showing you the pictures from where I bought it, hoping that if you need help or you need something that's going to follow along with this video, you'll have it. Now, I got this one from Crutchfield, and I'll have a link in the description, and it came with the rear view camera. Okay, it appears that looking at the way to cut this out, if you can look down here, there isn't hardly any gap. And up here, again, there really isn't much of a gap. We're talking probably a 1/16 of an inch. So, taking this out, you'll be able to see what I did is I cut straight up from the corners so that when I take that top piece out, it'll come flush. And I did the same thing down here to take these 2 wings off. Okay, but to leave the full sides because the width fits. So as you saw, I had to take the front bezel off, and what I'm doing here is I'm just using a Dremel tool and a grinding wheel to slowly cut this lower lip off and the upper lip off up to my little marks where I made on the sides so that I didn't go any further. You don't need to trim the sides at all. The instructions on this thing are terrible. They don't really tell you that, but trial and error, trust me, you saw in the beginning it fits, it looks great. They even give you this little strange piece at the bottom to, if you overcut, because trying to get this thing in here, it can be a bit of a challenge. Okay, it's going to take some patience, it's going to take a little bit of time, but this is how I did it, and I made sure that as I was sanding that I took that all the way out flat through that whole shelf while trying to preserve the front area so that I wouldn't have scuff marks around the radio. It just takes a little time. It's not really that big a deal. I'm sure you can handle it. And if you want to kick forward, I'm going to put this on high speed. Okay, something I didn't see in the instructions that I discovered. You need to remove this faceplate from this radio. Okay, let's try that test fit again. Okay, I cut those lines and I'm still tight. Okay, now you're looking at the thing upside down, so. But this piece I can't trim out of because I would take away that whole support lip, even though it's the upper support lip. This piece right here across the bottom of the radio, we have that trim piece to go in anyway, and I think it's there in case you cut off too much of this. Because originally I couldn't see where it was going to go, because if you look at it in here, it's really well supported. And if I can get it to slide back all the way, these wings will cover this area here. This will set in further, and it should be fine. Okay, here we are. I've got it test fit in there. I feel like I could push this in the rest of the way, and that would be, shit, that would be a good fit. I think it's time to reinstall the dashboard. We're going to find out. Here's the kit I decided to go with that was on Amazon, I believe. And what's really nice about this kit is it comes with the drill bit you need, and that drill bit comes in handy for the other part of this install. And the camera is decent quality, and it has backup lines, as you saw. This is what it looks like installed in my truck, and this is how I did it. The hole saw they give you is just a little bit too small. So you're going to have to work on that hole a little bit, but it's not bad. And it gives you a good starting point. I used a Dremel tool to sand this out, but it snapped in just fine and it's not flopping around. Be really careful when you do that. The other thing I did was I originally drilled a hole in the back because I wanted to be able to slip it through. But then it dawned on me that as this bulb gets in here, it might get hot. So I wanted that wire as far away as I could get it. So what I did is I drilled a little hole up here, and there's a metal plate that secures back on here, so it'll make it easier to get that in and out and test fit, all that stuff. So I hope that helps somebody. I'm going to take that metal plate, which is right there, and I'm going to glue that sucker back on there, and I should be good to go. I'm going to use a little ATV because I want to be able to get it back off, but I also want it to be watertight. Okay, looking in the third brake light, you can see that I drilled a small hole and put in a tiny screw here. It's behind what I think is the light fixture, so I don't think it's going to have any problems. I can't see it on the other side, on the inside. So I grounded the wire, the black wire, and the positive wire I hooked to the traveling wire that goes with this yellow patch cord. So that's the convenience wire they give you. So I'm going to pull power from the front where the switch is. Now to have the trigger for the reverse gear to set up your camera and be able to switch between the truck bed and the bumper, you got to have a switch. And this is the switch I went with. It was really inexpensive. I think the whole kit for everything I needed was $13. Compare that to a switching kit on Amazon or through Crutchfield, and you're going to save 50 bucks right off the bat. And as you saw, this one does work. It worked just fine for me. And I'm going to go through how I got that mounted and wired here in a second. Okay, so let's look at this now. We got this recessed hole, right? We got this hole right here, and we got this piece that came out of it. And it just so happens that this piece and this switch, if I do this right, this will work out really good because it'll fit in here. It'll fit in here, trust me. Okay, so I looked at it, and you can see there's like little lines at this edge, this curve. I don't know if it's coming out. I don't know if it's really easy to see or not, but the flat edge where it turns. So if you look at where this metal box is and where it's going to catch, and you center the wall, this wall right here, this inside wall here, and this inside wall here, equidistant, you know, with the little gap, the gap here and the gap up here from straight, then you get your line straight down that you got to drill through to get your four corners for this box. I hope that makes sense. It might in a minute. I'm going to mark it up. Okay, I don't know if you can tell, but there's these 4 tabs at the bottom of this hole. And the way this is lining up, it looks like, and it's not coming across on camera, but it looks like these come down on the corners of those boxes. So I'm going to try that as my start. And if they're a little off, like the pencil lines are further outside than the boxes, then maybe that'll count for the diameter of the drill bit. Okay, that's the 4 holes drilled down at the corners. I don't know if that's visible. Let's see. On either side of the boxes. So on the outside edge of the box, I got the 4 holes. Okay, you can see I've drilled it out. I used a razor once I got the holes drilled to pry into it. So let's see, you know, like this. Tried to pry it, and it looks kind of crappy right now. But what's nice is this switch, the shell, the cover around it, seems to be covering it just fine. So I still got a little work. I think you can see it's easily going to cover the upper and lower areas that were cut out, but I still got to cut a little bit more so that it'll set in there. Okay, after several attempts to scrape and cut this thing, it looks like it's in. Unfortunately, I did not wire it before I put it in, so still got to figure out how to get it back out of here, but I think I like it. Okay, so I just discovered that this frame is spring-loaded on here, so if you compress these edges, it'll pop off. All right, so what it is, I wanted to take up the slack and keep it as a uniform harness, so I wrapped up the purple wire, and then I put some tape on it and taped it to itself on this line out. Same thing with the green wire, taped them together, and then I taped the 2 of these together, the green and the purple wire, and then I taped them to the harness. That way, at any time, whatever changes I got to make, they're not taped like with a lot of layers, just a couple, just enough to hold it, and then for it to come off clean and redo it. I think that's going to make a nice, a much better harness to deal with as I'm manipulating this stuff around. It gets cleaner as I go because there's less wires. So, yeah. I got off the phone with Crutchfield, and they said that this process should work. So what I've got is, I've got a little toggle switch, and I got this Y wire connector for the RCA. Now, I do have a yellow one on order, and I may need to put that one in, but this is for proof of concept for $6. I wanted it now. And then there's the switch. There's a little switch around here somewhere. You'll see it as I'm putting it in. Here it is. I got this switch at AutoZone. It's small. It's a 3-way. It's an on, off, on. So I put the power in the middle, and then I can direct where it goes. So if I'm sending power to individual cameras, and they're the ones feeding data, it should work. Now, we've got a trigger switch set up correctly according to Crutchfield. And we've got our emergency brake hooked up so that it's not going to be a problem. Okay, I know this looks like a bit of a mess, but let's just talk about what we've got going on here. I got a switch here. It's an on, off, on switch. Looking at it, we can see that the main power is the middle one, okay? The main power is the middle one. The middle one comes down, and it gets its power through this connection here. Okay, it's a little post that plugs into the rear view camera power, okay? Rear camera power out. Can you read that? Rear camera power out. Plugs in here. So the main power comes into the middle of the switch, which is off in the middle, okay? Off. When it's up, let's see, middle, up. When it's up, it sends power to the camera that is in the third brake light up at the top, back up there over the dome light. When it's down, 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 it's the bumper backup light. So that's the tailgate trailer hitch for the ball. And then up, 2 is the bed camera. Okay, the trip switch, the trigger switch is connected. This purple switch, it is connected to underneath here. You probably can't see it. It's not this red one, but it goes in the back to the wiring harness. You can see the purple line goes in the back right there. Okay, there's another picture for that somewhere. I will try and provide that. So what we've got here is the wiring harness all hooked up, and with the way it sits right now, it looks like I should be able to put this lower panel back on and have that switch work and be in place. So as we pull these wires back out, it sits in there. It looks like that. Very clean. Up is for the bed. Down is for the tailgate. Up, down, up, down. Okay, I think you can hear that click. I certainly hope so. I really like the way the switch came out. I think it looks really good and centered in there, so I'm really happy with that. And it preserves my cigarette lighters. So I should be able to start putting this dash back together. Now, I've been thinking about the microphone, and honestly, I don't know if your trucks have these. I don't know what the hell this is supposed to be for, these grid lines, but it looks like a speaker grill to me. So I'm going to mount the microphone up in here because there's plenty of room. So why not? Okay. Out of sight, out of mind. Okay, so that's basically the installation. The only other thing I had to buy was this third-party USB adapter so that I could plug my phone in and have direct CarPlay. I used a Forstner bit to drill the hole, and I think it came out really good. I like the cover on it. It'll keep dirt out of it, so it always works. Okay, so that's my solution to having a truck bed camera and a bumper camera that works off the trigger of you putting in reverse and using the switch. I hope you find this useful. If you did, smash that like, share it with a friend. And I have additional footage on installing the speakers. I really love the fact that Crutchfield had the plug and adapter, so you didn't have to figure out what was positive and negative, because it sure isn't on the factory speakers. If you want that video, I'll be happy to put it up. Just request it. Otherwise, I think you guys can install your own speakers. I thought this was the really cool part because I hadn't seen anybody else do this, where it just was a plug and play and it actually worked. It did require a couple little parts and like that yellow wire and a couple connectors, but it's nothing that a guy wouldn't have sitting around the shop. So I hope it helps somebody. If it does, give me a thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe, and comment down below. Love to hear from you. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.